Welcome to the Business of What's Next, the show where ambitious leaders cut through the noise, decide what truly matters, set up their business for what's ahead. I'm your host, Matthew Shipp. Today's episode is all about why mental overload happens, the science why your brain struggles to keep everything in your head, and the practical systems you can use to finally get ahead of your day. We're going to break down why overwhelm is biological and not personal, why your brain has strict limits on what it can hold, how a simple mind dump reduces stress and restores clarity, how to turn chaos into structure using the 1-3-5 method, how to realistically manage your brain dump, and on radar, off radar list to keep you agile without feeling overwhelmed. So let's get into it. All right, let's talk about something that every leader, every business owner, every parent, honestly, every human deals with: mental overload. And the more specifically, why your brain is not built to hold everything you're trying to keep in your head. Most people think overwhelm is a feeling. It's not. It's biology. So today I want to walk you through the science behind that and then show you the exact tools I use to finally get ahead of my day instead of having my day run me. So let's talk about some working memory limits. So let's start with the basics. Your working memory, the part of your brain handling right now. It's tiny. Research shows we can only hold about 3 to 5 meaningful things at once. Not tasks, not full ideas, just chunks of information. So when you're trying to manage 27 tasks in your head, you've already exceeded the system. Now let's layer in cognitive load. This is where overwhelm starts to make sense. There's intrinsic load, how hard the task actually is. Extraneous load, all the clutter, distractions, and unclear information around the task. And germane load, the effort of actually trying to make sense of something. Most of us don't struggle because our tasks are difficult. We struggle because our extraneous load is through the roof. And then we try to multitask on top of that. Multitasking is just really rapid fire switching, and every switch costs you time, accuracy, and energy. No wonder we end the day exhausted, but not accomplished. I don't know about you, but this happens to me quite often, and I'm sure a lot of people out there are feeling that feeling of feeling like I know I did stuff, but at the end of the day, I can't tell you what it was. That's kind of where we're going with this. So another interesting piece, though, is most adults have about 4 hours of truly high quality cognitive energy in a day. After those 4 hours, your focus, creativity, and decision making start dropping off fast. And this is why I try to keep the workshops I facilitate under 4 hours per day, because again, everything drops off, people get fatigued, and you tend to wonder. And even as a facilitator, I tend to wonder. So if your to-do list is 8 big tasks long, you're already playing outside your biological limits. Here's the part we don't talk enough about. When your working memory is over capacity, your stress response kicks on. Your mind becomes hyper aware of everything you might forget, and that anxiety, it steals even more cognitive space. That's why you can't fall asleep, or you wake up already behind. So the problem isn't you. The problem is you're asking your brain to do a job it's not designed for. The good news? There are ways to help you overcome this mental overload. Let's talk about the mind dump and why it works. The fastest way to calm your brain is to externalize everything. Write it all down. When your brain sees your tasks and ideas in a physical or digital space, it relaxes. It knows those thoughts have a place to live, and they're not keeping you up at night, when you're not waking up at night because you know you've put them somewhere. Your brain knows you've put them somewhere. So dump everything: tasks, ideas, half-formed thoughts, worries. Don't organize it yet. Don't make it pretty. Messy is the point. Once it's out of your head, you can think again. Feeling stuck as a leader or sense you're out of alignment even though you're pushing forward? You're not alone. Seek Coaching helps leaders cut through the noise and reconnect with their authentic voice. Founder Stephanie Seek uses her 5 V's methodology to help you clarify what matters, reframe limiting beliefs, and bring your inner and outer voice back into alignment. With Seek Coaching, you create the space for clarity, confidence, and a path that actually feels right. Visit seekcoaching.com to take your next intentional step toward balance and purpose. Seek Coaching. Alignment is the new success. So now that everything has a place to live, we can build a structure using the 1-3-5 rule. And here's how the 1-3-5 rule works. You have 1 major task, your big win for the day. 3 medium tasks, things that matter but aren't mission critical. 5 small tasks, quick wins, communication, housekeeping. So I put a little twist on it. I like to treat those 5 small tasks as subtasks to support the medium ones. Keeps the list realistic and it keeps me honest because it's really easy. Those 5 small tasks, oh, they're quick and easy, but you don't realize that this one small task could take you an hour or 2 to do. Not a small task. Why it works with your biology, though. This is kind of cool. 1 major task honors your 4-hour cognitive peak. 3 medium tasks fit inside your working memory limits. The 5 small tasks let you maintain momentum without pretending you're superhuman. And also they tend to, the way I do it, support your 3 medium tasks. But even this can fall apart if you try to fit a whole week's worth of work into tomorrow. So the solution here is to kind of spread the load. You did this huge brain dump, and that doesn't mean you have to get everything done on that list in a small amount of time. This is not a to-do list. This is just a brain dump. So your brain dump is not meant to become tomorrow's to-do list, essentially. Split it across several days. You could group tasks by energy, creativity, analytical, administrative. Match them to times a day where you have the right energy. So I look at my calendar and then I schedule tasks around my meetings based on the time that I have between meetings. And some days you'll only have time for 2 medium tasks because you have 4 meetings that day, or just 1 major task because maybe all of your meetings are clumped up in the evening. So you take that whole morning to do work on your major task. This is just one way you're going to have to be realistic about the task you set for yourself. And also you need to give yourself permission for this to work. I borrow from the Pomodoro principle and set a time limit per task and give myself some mental downtime between tasks and meetings on my calendar. So the Pomodoro simply is you're setting a time limit. Some people have a standard time limit of 2 hours and they take a 15-minute break. I kind of reduce that. I truncate that with the task. So I determine how long the task might take. So whether it's 20 minutes or an hour, but I make sure to have at least a 5 to 10-minute break between that or before the next meeting or the next task. This kind of helps with that mental switching. Often the context switching between tasks can still slow you down even though you have it laid out for yourself. So create that white space. That white space is really oxygen for your day and for your cognitive mental load. The last really cool other thing I like to do is I create what they call an on radar or an off radar. On radar are tasks you want visible but not required today. They stay top of mind, but they don't apply pressure. There's those things you do want to get to but not forget. Off radar, these are the new ideas that hit you during the day. Instead of starting a new brain dump every hour, park them here. Review them later, daily or weekly, when your brain is calm. So you can add them to the next week's brain dump, or because as you go through the day, new things come up, but you don't want to lose those either. So I like to call that my off radar. Why this matters? The off radar kind of keeps you flexible. Off radar keeps you sane. Together, they prevent the constant mental pinging feelings. So, oh, I got to this. Oh, I just remember this. Hey, I thought about this. This can derail your day, even though you have it scheduled. And so here's the truth. If you can't get past your daily tasks, your strategic ideas never get any lift. This is the core challenge for so many leaders I work with. They're overwhelmed with the day-to-day, so the big picture work just sits there. Once you create a personal system of clarity, you create the conditions for strategic thinking and strategic thinking with your team. So if you're sitting on those big strategic projects, the ones that take a whole team to move, and you don't know where to start, that's exactly what a keystone is for. It helps your team identify what truly matters, where to start, and how to move together in the same direction. You bring the expertise, I'll bring the facilitation. Together, we take your business from bottlenecks to breakthroughs. We help you bridge that gap between those strategies you're wanting to move on and the execution it takes to make them happen. If that's something you're ready for, let's talk. All right. Thanks for listening. I hope today's conversation helped you make a little more sense of what's going on in your mind and how to navigate it. If something stood out to you or made a difference, I'd love to hear about it. Until next time, I'm Matthew Shipp, inviting you to keep exploring what's next for your business, one clear step at a time.